Hi, my name is Tamara. This is the Festival Network. My mission is to create a platform where industry professionals can be authentic about their journeys. Join me as I take you behind the scenes of the amazing culture that encompasses more than just music. Thanks for watching. I hope you have a great day. In this episode, I learned from Festival Director of WAKAAN, Dan Greene. Dan is a Des Moines, Iowa native and Iowa State University graduate. He began his journey in the EDM industry over a decade ago, beginning as a DJ and then ultimately deciding to throw festivals. Dan successfully grew the festival 515 Alive to be the largest annual music event in Iowa. It's a multi-day music and camping festival that includes EDM and hip-hop and attracts nearly 30,000 people. In 2019, Dan partnered with WAKAAN Music Festival as the festival director. This entails overseeing all aspects of the festival, from booking the artists, securing the venue, hiring staff, coordinating logistics, and creating the overall vision and vibe. And after attending my first WAKAAN and seeing the ins and outs of the festival from before the event was actually going, I can tell you that Dan is amazing at his job. No detail is overlooked, and it was honestly one of the most relaxing and fun atmospheres that I've experienced at a music festival. On top of all of that, Dan is such a cool individual and has so much knowledge and insight to offer the community. The passion Dan puts behind his job is contagious. I hope you enjoy hearing Dan's story and gain some insight about what a festival director does. A quick disclaimer for this interview. We're at WAKAAN, and even though I tried to provide the best quality sound, unfortunately the show didn't stop for us, and we were recording 50 feet from the main stage, as the headliners were going all out. But the content is truly amazing.
Awesome.
I'm just gonna keep it cash. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Festival Network podcast. I'm here with Dan Greene, the festival director and organizer of WAKAAN Festivals here in Arkansas, Mulberry Mountains. We're on day 4 of the festival, technically operating, so it's the last day. Vibes are high. Weather's been great all weekend.
Beautiful.
Dr. Fresh is playing right now his drum and bass set here at main stage, so it might be a little bit loud. We might have raspy voices. We've been working and talking to a lot of people, so
breathing in a lot of dust.
Yes, so welcome, Dan. Thank you so much for having me come on and be able to talk to you about what you do and about the event.
Of course.
Just to get started, I do kind of want to get a little bit of information on your history, your background, how long you've been involved in music, the industry, and what inspired you to get into directing music festivals.
I'll actually start with the last part because it's interesting. I came to Wakarusa here at Mulberry Mountain in 2011, and that's kind of where I fell in love with this style of music festival, camping, really rural, late night stuff, right? And so this mountain has always meant a lot to me. I mean, that festival kind of changed the trajectory of my life a little bit. I was in college, and so at that time, I just got really into the scene, the culture and all that. And I think I was probably already DJing a little bit at that point, but I started DJing, which kind of turned into me throwing shows, started working at a venue, did bigger shows, and they kind of just snowballed. And eventually, I bought the rights to a music festival when I was 24 that was happening in my hometown of Des Moines. And so I started throwing that in 2013. Yeah.
You just decided to go all in after 3 years.
Yeah, looking back on it, I kind of wish I could remember my mindset then, because it seems a little crazy to me that I decided to do this festival. I was broke, just out of college kid, and I just went for it and it worked. And then we scaled that from the first year was 3,000 people, and then we scaled it to we topped out at like 12,000, but it was a 2-day event then.
Yeah.
So
good.
yeah, it really went from like, you know, a festival with like a really small budget to like having acts like Millennium and Future and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah. What did you learn the most in your first year of directing music festivals? I'm sure it was a giant learning curve.
Yeah. So the first year I did a music festival, we started set up at 6 a.m. We had 9 stages and we had to open doors at 2 p.m.
9 stages?
Yeah, but like 4 of them were like bars right around the area. But I think it was like 5 outdoor stages.
Yeah.
Most were pretty small. Like, but
that's still a lot going on though.
Yeah. And I didn't even have a stage manager. Like I knew nothing. And I luckily had a buddy who like hopped on stage, and he actually works in the industry now and has ever since. But man, I learned everything. I'm a pretty firm believer that in this world, there's no handbook to do this stuff at all. So you kind of have to just like throw yourself in and figure it out. You know, so I pretty much learned everything by trial and error. You know, over the past 12 years.
Right.
But yeah, that one I learned about power, about how to load in vendors, about production, about a lot of what not to do. You know, about security.
Were there any big mistakes that happened that you had to deal with on the fly there?
Not a lot. I mean, some maybe, but like some stuff that I look back on, I'm like, what the hell were we thinking? Like, we had a stage, and then we had this giant projection map piece on there, and we stacked stage decking on top of each other. So the DJ was standing like 9 feet up, and we had like no ratchet straps or anything. And like Proto Hype played it and was like freaked out by it. Like,
and it was probably shaking the entire time.
Yeah, it was very, very thrown together.
Wow.
And yeah, we try to do things a little safer, a little more above water now. And it's quite different now.
This is a massive production, and I came on Tuesday whenever they were still setting up some of the stages.
Yeah.
And just the stage design, the build out, how do you feel like, what is the biggest challenge that when you're trying to build a stage to be impressive, but not too hard where you can't incorporate everything that you want to incorporate?
So, and you're talking about stage specifically?
Stage, yeah.
So stages are tricky, especially like here, because there's a stage behind the stage. We like build on top of it.
Yeah.
So it takes a lot. Like I had to fly my production manager down here to like walk it, and we did that in like July. And so it's just a lot of logistics. But at the end of the day, what makes a great stage is a great production manager. Okay. And so we have a guy named Bobby Fingles this year, who does a lot of the like big stuff on the East Coast. And so how it really works is, first thing's budget. So you come up with your budget. Then you kind of start going through stage renders of like, hey, we could probably do this. It might cost X amount of dollars.
Yeah.
And then you kind of just build from there. You add things, you take away things. But it's never easy. Like those big towers on the side, they were supposed to be flush with the stage.
Okay.
But like if we would have done that, we would have blocked our access road. So we wouldn't have been able to drive anything backstage.
Oh, yeah.
So we had to make some adjustments on site. But yeah, it's the stage design is really like a super creative process.
Yeah.
And that's not my world. Like I work with them on it, but we hire someone that specifically does nothing but give us the ideas for the design. And then so we do that, and then our production manager.
They do engineering and stuff too.
They do engineering and all of it. Yeah.
It has to be.
It's a lot. And then they have to go to every vendor. Like we find the people that maybe do our lights and our video walls, and then we'll find the person that does our SFX, like lasers and pyro.
Yeah.
Then
the pyro has been really great
Pyro's
this
been
weekend.
great. Yeah. We really stepped the pyro game up this year.
Yeah. I think that, I love seeing fire incorporated. Are you guys doing any fireworks this weekend, or?
I suppose I can say now because this isn't going to air till after. Yeah, there's some tonight.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sick.
Right after Martin plays.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Exciting. One of the questions that I think is important in just kind of the determining factor of how a festival runs and how well it can be ran, in your opinion, from your experience, what is the 20% factors that can be implemented for the most maximum results?
Like the 20% that gets you your 80%?
Yes, exactly.
In my opinion, well, it's twofold, I think. Again, production manager, they run your production, and if you have a good enough one, you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
They text you when they need something or, call you on the radio. And then the other one is site team.
Site team.
Which is just unbelievably important. Like, we have a really big and really, really good site team. And a lot of these guys used to work Wakarusa here.
Yeah.
So like they're super familiar with the property. We have the electrician that wired the whole property like on site. So that's what makes it. Like I spend, I don't know, probably more than 6 months, 8 months on weekly calls with the site team leads and just planning everything. Because, you know, like this can that we're sitting on, like we have to rent it and place it and decide what goes inside it. And then that applies to everything. This fence right here, these porta potties, the lines where all the cars go.
Right.
So like we build a CAD map essentially, and we just make sure that we have everything and that it goes into the right place.
Yeah.
And so in theory, the idea is that you build a good enough map that you can just give it to someone that knows how to build sites and they can just do it.
Right.
And that's really a team of like, I don't even know, like 25, 30 people that like put this thing together.
Oh yeah.
And like they're so important that when I'm here, I'm always on their radio channel. That's the radio channel I stay on because that's where most of the action is. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. What is in your opinion, the most underrated thing about festivals?
Like about as an attendee? I don't even know if it's underrated, but I think the most important part and what really shines here is like the community.
The music?
The community.
The community.
I mean, the music, of course, but like, I feel like that's kind of the given, you know? So outside of that, like, the community here is unbelievable. Like, I've said it so many times to so many people this week. This festival is super special, and I think that really stems from the community.
It really is.
You know, there's like culture being developed in this. I mean, you know, all these kids bring their inflatables in here, and, you know, it's like part of it, and like the merch and like everything is, you know, it's very different from like a lot of festivals. Like maybe you go to like a city festival and people just go and they're there from, you know, 6 o'clock to 11 and they go home. Like these people are all living with each other for like
with each other.
for 4 days. You know, you meet your campsite neighbors and you know, you make some friends that, you know, I have friends that I've met at festivals that I am like really close with still like 10, 12 years later.
That's how we've been our entire relationship. Like I think that's super important. That's why I love the festival community so much. And why I also decided after 9 years of being a raver, I'm like, I gotta give back. I need to be a part of this. I need to be a part of something bigger than just like the party scene. Yeah. And there are only a few festivals I feel like that really offer that sense of community.
Agreed.
And Waylon and I were actually talking about it earlier, how the size of WAKAAN right now is like the perfect size, but you're hesitant to go any bigger because then you lose a little bit of that like close-knit.
The intimate portion of it.
Yeah, intimate setting.
Yeah, in regards to what you said too, I remember when I came to my first festival here, I remember thinking that, and you know, I was young and, you know, wide-eyed and everything was incredible.
You were 20...
This was 2011, so I would have been, my math is not mathing right now, and so that would have been 12 years ago. No, maybe it was earlier than that. I think it was like 22 or 23. So I don't remember what year it was when I came here. Maybe 2010. But I remember looking around and thinking it was so cool that there's like all these pockets of like people like spinning fire and then like your live art people and then you know, all these different segments of like people that like find their place in the scene and like really enjoy it. Like there's people that do blogs, you know, and then there's obviously the artists. What's up, dude? And then and then you even got the guys that just are guys and gals that love working on this stuff, right? And so it's like there's so many different like passions that come together to like make these things cool, and that's what was like super impressive to me and like just interesting in the beginning.
I think it's really interesting because, like you said, you do have to be passionate about it in order to pursue a career, because at first you might not make a lot of money.
It's anyone that is in this world loves music and they're also crazy. Like there's
I know we're crazy.
You have to be so passionate that you're out of your mind. Yeah. Because I mean,
it's hard on your body.
It's hard on your like running one of these things is like a marathon and a sprint at the same time. It's difficult, like emotionally, like mentally, physically. It's a challenge. I kind of grown to like it, you know, like but it's a lot, and like if I didn't love the culture and the music, there'd be no reason for me to be here. No. Like there are a lot better jobs I could do that are a lot less stressful than this. But it's awesome to be able to put something like this together.
No, I think it's honestly, you get more experience out of something like this and more fulfillment, just feeling like you're a part of something bigger.
Totally, 100%.
And since you were talking about like how hard it is on, you know, your mental, physical, spiritual health, what do you do, you know, when you're not at work to help you maintain your sanity, or do you have any self-care routine or practice?
I try to get in the gym as much as I can.
Yeah.
Try to meditate. I try to limit my work hours as much as I can, so I can spend time, with my fiance and our animals and whatnot. But that's difficult, especially as it gets to 2 months before the festival's pretty hectic.
Yeah.
But I just try to make sure I'm doing enough in the beginning to not stress myself out too much before.
Yeah.
But it's damn near impossible to not have it be chaos the weeks leading up to it.
Yeah. And that's understandable. I mean, it's hard to prioritize. Even before we came, there's so much that you have to think about planning.
Yeah.
And without knowing what to expect, you kind of have an idea of what to expect and what's going to happen, but then you can only plan for so much.
Yeah, 100%. Well, we have to plan for everything.
You do have to plan for everything.
Yeah, that's the crazy part. I mean, it's really wild to me that we spend 9 months, maybe longer, planning for 4 days.
Yeah.
We spend all this time and energy just to create a magical 4 days for everybody. And it goes by kind of fast. When I'm tired, it doesn't go by fast enough. But it feels like it's over and done with so quick. I mean, I've been here 12 days and it feels like it just got here.
Yeah.
But it's a ton of planning. We're in the middle of nowhere. You have to make sure everything's here. We can't just go down the street and get stuff,
right.
Yeah. So it's a little tricky down here.
Yeah, I was actually craving being back at a camping festival environment, because this is where I also discovered my love for festivals.
Yeah.
And then we've gone to several camping festivals. We've done Electric Forest, Euphoria Festival in Austin, a couple others here and there. But, I feel like for some reason, like you were saying, the city festivals, whenever you go and you're just spending a day with someone, you don't really get the same energy.
Yeah, it's very different. Yeah, I mean, this literally becomes your home.
Yeah, it really does.
And then you leave and it feels like your home still,
Yeah.
And so people come back and they're excited to go home,
What would you say to someone that is interested in getting into the festival industry as a professional? How would they go about just getting started, or any advice that you would have to newcomers into the scene?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people start just at really low level jobs, and I don't mean low level as in unimportant, but just
your local.
Yeah. Get involved with your local shows, maybe a small festival, move some speakers around, scan tickets at box office, whatever you need to do, and that's where it starts. A lot of the people that are working higher up jobs now, we're coming out here year one, moving porta potties around and working at the merch booth and stuff like that. So that's really where it all starts for a lot of people. It's rare that someone just jumps in, because like I said, there's no handbook, there's really no learning this except learning it here, learning it while you do it. And so it takes someone that knows how to do it to teach you. So it's interesting.
I feel like it's getting louder.
I know, I just thought that too, right?
No, I'm we're talking and I'm I feel like I have to yell now.
This is gonna destroy my voice for sure.
Dan, what can you tell me about the safety and security and how you implement, just organizing everyone that needs to help make sure that, your festival goers are safe?
That's a really, it's a tough balance because, everyone wants to come and have a good time. No one wants to get in trouble for whatever they're doing, right? But, we have to keep people safe. And, our job is to keep people safe, first and foremost.
Yeah.
And our goal is not to ruin anyone's time. But when someone else puts other people in potential danger, that's when we have to step in. The world has gotten so crazy and different now, Yeah. And so, for the first time, we have, firearm dogs, and everyone's why are these dogs here?
Right.
What are you guys trying to do? Ruin everyone's good time? And it's no, they're literally here to find firearms.
Yeah, and I mean, with the recent events, happening at other festivals, you have to be prepared, and I think it's smart that you did decide to do that, because I haven't seen very many festivals do that, especially if you don't have metal detectors and stuff. You have to have something.
And somewhere here, it's it's difficult because we talked about metal detectors, but it's the only real entrance in somewhere is this venue.
Yeah.
And so anything could be out here in camping.
Yeah.
Right? We can't send a car through a metal detector.
Yeah.
So the goal with that is to find any dangerous objects.
Yeah.
It's not to ruin anyone's good time. And even if someone were to bring like a firearm because they just happen to keep it in their car, and then we'll just take it, we lock it up. They have given, they get a receipt, they get it back at the end.
Yeah.
Most people that happens to do not mean any harm by it. They're not trying to come to a festival with a firearm. And so like that balance, and obviously people like to have a good time out here, right? And so like keeping them safe and hydrated, like super important. So it's interesting, especially when you have, I don't know, 1,000 couches in the crowd that you got to kind of walk over. So our medical's kind of been trying to like figure that out. But
I feel like maybe a solution to that might be having areas designated for couches. And I know
we
people
tried
wouldn't
that
like
yesterday.
that. Did you?
Yeah, but I think next year we'll do it a little different.
Yeah.
Probably have to back the fence up just a little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe a piece of bike rack every 10 feet, like couches and living room setups behind this point.
Like have them like blocked off or something. Because
we want people to be able to chill and have a good time, but like
one of my favorite things about coming to outdoor festivals especially is being able to start from the back and dance your way all the way to the front.
Right.
And I've had a blast doing that in the past, but it's kind of hard whenever you don't want to step on someone or you're like going to trip on someone.
It's the hot topic of debate right now in the WAKAAN fam group.
I've never seen it.
I haven't either. Not like this. It kind of like became like a tradition the first year. I feel like there's like few groups of people who bought couches in.
Yeah.
And were like chilling under these shade structures.
And then they turned it
into it became a bigger thing next year, and this year is like everyone bring a couch. Like it's pretty wild. And it's fun, like it's cool, but it does create logistical like safety issues.
Right. What goes into creating the lineup and choosing who you're going to work with? I mean, obviously you work with Liquid Stranger directly, and he has his own label. But whenever you're trying to branch out and bring in new artists that aren't necessarily on a label, how do you approach that?
Yeah, and so Loper, Martin's manager, Liquid Stranger's manager, he buys all the talent. I did the first year, but he has bought the past 2 years. And so we kind of collectively just like talk about, who we think's kind of popping and who we think fits. And, I assume people would kind of notice we kind of curate nights differently, where it's like, Thursday's usually a little more chill. And maybe a little more weird, right? And then like yesterday we kind of bring that pace back up.
Yeah.
And then tonight's kind of a mixture of everything.
And last night was a little bouncy too.
Yeah. But it's a lot of phone calls. Like, do you like this act? Do you think people will like this guy or gal? And it's a lot of back and forth and looking at data and looking at who other festivals are booking, looking what artists are doing really well.
Right.
This one's interesting because it's based on a label, right? So there's like there's acts that people expect to see. They're like, if we don't have, they're probably going to be like, where's so-and-so? Like, but it's tricky because we're trying to kind of toe that line of like making sure we have a good mixture of new artists while also like making sure we keep like some of the label favorites and some of the people that deserve to play year over year and stuff like that. But the funny thing is like lineup in a place like this, like lineup is a relatively small expense to how everything else operates.
Okay.
Yeah, there's just so much. I mean, even having all the staff here for like 18 days, some are here 20 days.
Yeah.
Like it's a lot. All this infrastructure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Do you have other investors, or is this all like something that you?
It's independently owned.
Independently owned.
Yeah. So it's Waylon and Martin.
Just Waylon.
Right on it. Yeah. Yeah.
Are you ever going to be an investor in the WAKAAN Festival? Have you thought about it?
So I've kind of had my time in owning festivals.
Yeah.
And while it's fun, it's very stressful.
Okay.
You just kind of got to sit back and hope you sell enough tickets, hope your costs don't go through the roof. So yeah, I mean, I'm not now, like I'm just the director that's hired. I like to think that I'm kind of like, it really does feel like it's like the four of us, like it has been since the beginning.
Yeah.
And yeah, when it's like big important calls, it's actually usually me, Loper, and Waylon, and then we do some like overarching calls with Martin to make sure he's cool with what things are happening.
Right.
He gives us input on what he wants.
Right.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you, like, let's say, trying to promote a festival, what does it take, like, not just as a collective, but for your fans to be able to be involved and help spread the word of the festival? What do you think, how do they get involved?
Yeah, I mean, well, we're lucky we have a really like active community that like, without us asking, they promote it.
Yeah.
You know. And you know, so Chloe does most of like marketing and stuff like that. Did you interview with Chloe?
I know Chloe. Well, I didn't interview her.
Okay.
No, but we know each other from OKC.
She's slammed this weekend too.
Yeah.
And her voice probably sounds a lot like mine.
No, I know. I said hi to her a couple of times. I'm like, I know she's super stressed out. So.
But yeah, I mean, she engages them like just through like socials, and they just like engage back. Like, I think there's like some like people that kind of actually actively help out with her, but most of it's like pretty organic.
Okay.
And we're very fortunate in the sense that we have that kind of community where it's like, this is what like people love this festival, you know, and that's a rare thing to get. Like, usually you have to sell people on a festival with a lineup. Yeah. You know, like.
This one, I feel like you don't have to.
No, I mean, it's obviously very important, and we do strive to have like an unbelievable lineup. But I mean, most of our tickets sell like in the first week. Yeah. Like, because people are so excited to get back. Yeah. Yeah. So.
I saw a video that she posted of all the people running in to get merch on Thursday whenever it was available, and I thought that was so cool.
It's hundreds of people. Like the first year, I remember the first year, and I was like, there's all these people lining up right now, like, kind of surprised, and I thought they were gonna run right to the stage.
Hey!
Turn it down.
Turn it down!
Yeah, I thought they were gonna run right to the stage. Every single one of them went to the merch booth.
Oh, wow.
Not a single person went to the stage. And that just goes to shows, like, these you know, fans love this community, they love this festival, they love the artists, and it's just like, I think it's one of those things that, you know, I don't want to speak for Chloe and Loper, and but I think they probably like sit back and are kind of like shocked at like how like this community came together. Like, I know they put a lot into it, so it wasn't an accident, but like the fact that it happened and worked so well and is so like harmonious and just beautiful is pretty mind-blowing.
Do you guys have like a slogan or a motto that for the WAKAAN festival that people could remember or share?
Chloe probably does, like on socials and stuff. Like, I'm sure she has that. I try to stay out of all that and just focus on getting this thing done. Right. But yeah, she's very she's the one that like is like the person with her head in the community. Like, she's in it, she's built it. Yeah, she's great with it.
I love that, honestly. Like, she's so involved, and I love that she's hands-on with everyone all the time. Yeah. And it's really unique to find people like that are just like really dedicated to, you know, being part of such a big organization.
Yeah, 100%. And like, that's how the whole team is. Like, and we have a lot of guys on this team that like have never, or like kind of retired from festival work a long time ago. But they come back like just to do this. Yeah. Because they just love it. We got them here the first year because they loved WAKA. And now they're like, a lot of them this is the only festival they do all year.
Yeah. Was it just a coincidence that WAKARUSA and WAKAAN
kind of have a similar thing?
Similar name.
I remember in the beginning some dude got all like upset on the internet. It's like, you're just gonna like steal their grounds and steal part of their name. It's like, no. Like, there was never a conversation where it's like, well, they called it WAKARUSA, let's just call it WAKAAN Music Festival. Like, that wasn't a thing. Okay. But pretty interesting coincidence for sure.
Yeah. Oh, that was funny. Well, I think this weekend has been a success. Hopefully everything has been running super smooth on your end.
It has.
I'm really excited to see the last final sets and see the rest of the festival just like go down tonight. Is there anything coming up in the future for you personally that maybe might need to be on the radar for you?
So I usually do 3 or 4 festivals a year, and now I'm just doing this one. Okay. And some of my other businesses. But yeah, I just do this one, and I do shows in Iowa where I'm from.
So you're based in Iowa, you do local shows.
Yeah, I do shows all the time. There? Yep. What did you say?
The
production company? Subconscious Productions.
Subconscious Productions in Iowa.
Yep. And we're actually, one of the gals that like works for us just told me the other day, she's like, I think it's your 10-year anniversary this year. And like, we found like the first flyer, and we're like, holy shit, it's in November. Yeah, so we've been doing that for 10 years.
Okay, well, I'll definitely link that and share it on my Instagram as well, because
Sweet.
if there's anyone from Iowa that wants to check out some of your other productions, then that would be really cool.
Yeah,
So,
be awesome.
Well, thank you so much,
Thank
Dan.
you.
This has been great. Best place to do an interview for the whole weekend, but
great.
of course they save the best for last.
Thank you.
So we're super excited to edit this and get it out to everyone. And
Love it.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for doing it.
Hell yeah.
Sick.
Yo, make some noise.